Yo, what's going on everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day. Welcome to today's Pokemon GO discussion video. Alright, so the big topic of discussion as of late has been this avatar update that we got in Pokemon GO. It has created a lot of controversy within the Pokemon GO community, and there's a lot of players who are up in arms because they just simply do not like this update. A lot of players are very upset that their avatars look extremely ugly compared to how they were before, and Niantic has seemingly done very little to quell a lot of that frustration. Now, there is something that I saw on the Silph Road Reddit that does speak a little bit into how Niantic treats feedback, and I think this is incredibly pressing, and it's something we do need to discuss. But before we dive into that, let's talk about the last video that I uploaded because a lot of you left some very interesting comments regarding the avatar update. In that video, I talked about a lot of different solutions that Niantic could utilize in order to improve the update system and would also quell a lot of the frustrations that the Pokemon GO community is currently feeling. But a lot of you seem to indicate that overall, the best course of action is to just simply get rid of this new avatar update and just bring back the old avatar system. I do think it's a very interesting point because it just goes to show just how awful this new avatar update is. A lot of players would just simply prefer that Niantic just start from scratch, and I think that is a good option for them to take. Yeah, they should just cut their losses, completely start over, because this new avatar update is just creating so much negativity, and I would even argue that it is creating even more of a negative stir compared to the remote raid pass nerf. Because this time around, it seems like this is in the public eye. A lot of people who do not care about Pokemon GO, nor this company, they are now speaking up about this issue, and I think that is very bad for both Pokemon GO as well as Niantic Labs. A lot of other comments were also talking about how they just simply do not like the whole androgynous look of their characters. And you know, I can understand that Niantic is trying to be inclusive. I talked at length about that in that video, but I want to reiterate that I think the easiest solution is that they just bring back both male and female options, and then you could adjust the body to the way that you see fit. I think that's the best way to go about it, and it's the best middle ground that they could do for all the people that are complaining about this new avatar update. So yeah, now that we got that all out of the way, let's talk about this Reddit post. So, the user JRE47, he's a very infamous Reddit poster as well as someone within the Pokemon GO community. He actually interviewed someone within Niantic themselves. It was a Niantic employee. And they talked about some of the things that Niantic does internally when it comes to getting feedback and how they take action on that feedback. It just seems like everything that they do from a developer point of view is completely backwards. Like, they should be taking all the feedback that they're getting regarding different features and improving on those features based on that feedback. But instead, it seems like they're just cherry picking the feedback that they're getting, and then when it comes to other feedback, they're just ignoring them entirely. Now, here's a part of the interview that was probably the most pressing for me. Jerry asks, what was the outcome of providing any feedback? They state, participants are barred under NDA from discussing the specific studies they participated in, which of course makes sense, that's part of NDAs, but they state that many of these suggestions have later made it into quality of life updates, like the ready button, showing number of participants and raids on the map, research tab, clutter, easy extensions of egg, star piece, and incense, bonuses after in-person raids are some of the many examples, but since we get no follow-up on feedback of any kind from them, it is hard to say if any were results from the group or not. So basically, Niantic takes the feedback, but they do not say whether or not they are going to use that feedback. So all of these internal testers are pretty much left in the dark, pretty much like the Pokemon GO community. That is a very poor thing for Niantic to do. They need to at least communicate internally that they're taking their feedback seriously, because when it comes to stuff like this avatar system, I'm sure there was a lot of negative feedback internally, and yet they did nothing with that negative feedback. That's incredibly pressing because when it comes to the game industry, open lines of communication is key. I mean, I was someone who worked in the game industry for several years. And one of the things that made the experience really good was communicating between myself and those higher up. And then the negative experiences is when there was absolutely no communication. So when it comes to my own personal feedback or anything that I feel like needs to be changed with the games, yeah, if no one talks to me about it, then I feel like I'm just completely in the dark. And when a lot of those changes happen, it just feels kind of like I'm blindsided. Or if those changes do not happen upon release and you get a lot of backlash, yeah, it's a very negative experience. So I really do feel for all of these Niantic employees who are giving this feedback internally, but they're being left in the cold. I think that's an abhorrent thing for Niantic higher-ups to do. Now, here is something in the interview that is very telling about Niantic. What is being solicited from the participants now after the Avatar update was released as is? And is there a new round of feedback that is being requested? And this is what they said. No formal request for further studies or feedback has been made to suggest they're looking to do any major updates to these avatars besides fixing the many genuine glitches and errors. Basically, they just simply do not care about our feedback. They are very happy with how the system currently is, and they want to keep it as is. They're really just focusing on fixing the glitches and issues, which, yeah, they should be doing that. That's kind of like the baseline, but I feel like there's a lot of other pressing issues with this Avatar update system, and they're just simply not caring about any of that feedback. Yeah, this is horrible, guys. Like, if you really care about Pokemon Go, the fact that this is the culture at Niantic just goes to show that anytime the community is very unhappy with something with Pokemon Go, Niantic just simply do not care. They are just completely ignoring a lot of that feedback, and occasionally they might cherry pick a couple of things to actually implement. I really do not like that sort of culture. I do not think that's healthy for the long-term success of Pokemon Go. If Niantic genuinely cares about the long-term success of Pokemon Go, which recently they stated they actually care about, I really do think what they need to do is have that open dialogue with the community. I know that's going to be really difficult considering that a lot of the things that they need to do has to go through the Pokémon Company, and if you know any Japanese tech company, they're notorious for keeping everything hush-hush when it comes to how their games are made. But I really do think that with Niantic, it's a special case, and they need to fight tooth and nail to have their game be something that is fully transparent. They need to understand that they have a lot of leverage with the Pokemon Company. They have one of their biggest products and one of their biggest cash cows currently on the market, and they need to take more control of that. By creating a lot of these mistakes and then dropping the ball in terms of communication, that's just not a good look, and it's not healthy for the game. They need to fully understand that, because when it comes to Pokemon Go, the success is driven by the players. And if the players are constantly being disappointed and they feel unheard, then they're going to quit the game in droves. And I see a lot of people already disappointed with the game, and a lot of them are quitting the game because of a lot of these decisions. So yeah, Niantic, if you happen to be watching this video, I really do think one of the biggest things you need to do is, of course, take the feedback seriously. Do whatever it is you can do to fight the Pokemon Company in terms of being more transparent with the community, because this is what the community wants. They want to know what you're doing to actually fix a lot of the problems that players are pointing out. Because it doesn't just end here. There's a lot of issues when it comes to PvP, raid battles, little in-game glitches that have persisted over the last several years. There's a lot of problems with Pokemon Go, and Niantic has seemingly done nothing with them. They keep adding new features that most players do not ask for, and a lot of these new features end up being a bust. People just simply do not like them, and they feel like they are just ruining the game that they've been enjoying for the last several years. But in any case, yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I want to know your thoughts regarding everything down below. Are you very disappointed that Niantic does not take most of your feedback seriously? Definitely share your thoughts on all of that, and let's have a great discussion. And then let me just say this, for all the people that I actually know who work at Niantic, the thing that I've heard from them is that they do care about player feedback, and they fully see a lot of that feedback, and they want to see some of those changes implemented themselves. But for the most part, they just simply do not have the power to do so, or it's a call that's made in the highest positions. And unfortunately, because of that, I feel like a lot of the feedback is something that needs to be taken seriously from the top down. I'm not saying we should go and try to cancel John Hanke, because it may not even be John Hanke that's the problem. It could be the Pokemon Company. I really do not know what it could be, but there needs to be a change, because as of right now, Pokemon Go is just not in a good place, and they really need to fix this culture in order to have a healthy long-term game. But yeah, with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And also don't forget that notification bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to every single patron on my Patreon. You all make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, the absolute best way you could do so is by clicking on the links in the description below. One of them will take you to my Patreon page. If you become a paid Patreon member, you get a permanent spot on my in-game Pokemon Go friends list. So if you want to play Pokemon Go with me, like with remote raids or the friendship system, then do consider becoming a patron on my Patreon. And of course, if you want to support my channel in a different way that doesn't involve spending money, you can do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula, and I'm on the platforms that you see on screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I am Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.